What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Tastes Like Music, Jason and Joe here, reviewing another album submitted to us by our patrons. Today we are talking about the 2002 record Happyness with a Y by the band The Aluminum Group. John and Frank Navin, a band from Chicago, started out as a hardcore band and then eventually got more interested in softer music. This is their fifth album, and it is the first of a trilogy. I knew nothing by this band except a couple nights ago we listened to a song by them in our song reactions on Patreon. Someone else submitted something by them. So we got a little taste before we got into the full album here. The song we listened to was not from this record though. So how you feeling about the songwriting on this, or do you have any experience other than?
I had zero experience with this band completely. I listened to the album. I thought they were British, and then I read that they were from Chicago, which was weird. And apparently, Pitchfork gave this album an 8.0 back in 2002, which is quite high for a Pitchfork album that early on. Okay, so songwriting. Well, first let's describe what this sounds like. And it's an odd mishmash. And what I read about it was like they were trying to apply retro songwriting to modern sounds production and instrumentation. And you can kind of hear that. I hear, some trip hop in this. I hear sophistopop in this. Songwriting that kind of wants to be like Burt Bacharach sounding. And it's an interesting mix because you have like these laid back, I hear, I don't know about Blue Nile, but like sort of soft, unobtrusive vocals kind of just floating around. And then you have kind of this rhythm section that wants to be like mezzanine. And it's just kind of like this odd mix. Maybe that's why I thought they were from British, or thought they were from Britain. Just that kind of mezzanine, little strand kind of running through this. Um, and the songwriting, I don't know how much songwriting there really is. Like, I know they wanted to be Burt Bacharach, but I did not hear too many hooks on this album. A lot of just kind of laid back, kind of grooving. The one time I think they really like put together a memorable song was Two Lights, which has a little more urgency to it. And lyrics, they seem to be sort of a modern, jaded, slightly arch take on love for the most part, and nothing out of the ordinary. And really, I just, they sound pleasant, these songs. I just don't remember pretty much anything about them other than a general pleasant sound. I like the first track, and I like Two Lights, and I honestly don't remember anything about any of the other songs.
I think the songs are okay, but they definitely feel secondary to the sound of the record. I definitely feel like their main concern was this vibe and capturing this vibe, and it's one of those I often like to think about whether like did the person sit down and write the songs or did they build up a track and then write to it and like try to suss that out. And if I had to guess, I would say the latter here. The songs don't have like super strong skeletons without the arrangements, I don't think. If you sat down and played these tunes on an acoustic guitar, I don't know how you would get anyone's attention. But that's not to say they're bad songs. I think they're fine. But
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
musicianship.
Musicianship's great. Everything sounds great. Everything's played really well. The keys, especially. I don't know if the drums are machines or if they're real. Um, couldn't really find any info on it, but they have that kind of mezzanine-like, trip hop-like quality to them. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on. And they throw in things like female, backing vocals on a couple tracks. I just don't know if like anything is that interesting. Like it's a good sound, but nothing really stands out. There's a couple tracks with some cool bass on it, but like over the whole album, I don't know if anything like really wows you. Like it's all a study and like good, and I just don't know what it adds up to. Like, usually I'll take note of like, oh, this was a really cool part, and like they have interesting parts and interesting lines, but like they just kind of fade away after they're done, and I don't think anything's really breaking new ground here. So I don't know. It sounded good, but there's just like a hollowness behind it for me.
I agree that the musicianship is good, but it's a different type of musicianship than we're normally talking about. I mean, it's very like studio craft and like built up and like it's not like a bunch of players playing around and recording a live take. Definitely not. Like the guitar parts are all super minimal, just like simple chord arpeggios and just like in their right place, and they sound exactly how they should sound for this sound, and it works. And that's not to say that it's anything lesser. I think it's still very good and well executed. There are some nice like arrangement moments and like interesting choices. We're Both Hiding, I think, has really nice strings on it. I don't know, like sometimes if some of this stuff is samples that we're hearing or if it's performed like all of it, but yeah, I have no real gripes about the playing on it anywhere. I think it's all pretty good, solid, and I think they create the vibe they're going for sure.
I do think there's a couple of tracks like the opener, I think has things on it that they never do again, which I think I missed. Like there's a specific synth sound on it that I really like on the opener, and it's got like this big aqueous bass groove going on. And I don't know if you get that again. Like maybe there's just too much bouncing around. Like you get a song like that and you get Two Lights, which is very like Britpop, post Britpop sounding. And then you get a bunch of songs that don't quite have any form to them beyond just the same kind of, I don't know. I don't even know what you'd call it, like 2000s sophistopop or whatever, but I don't know. There's just something missing here.
Production.
I think it sounds good. I don't really have anything else to say about it. I don't know who produced it, but they did a good job making everything sound good. 2000s, early 2000s, not the greatest time period for just sounds of things, but I think they kind of take the mezzanine approach where it's kind of a little icy and cold, but I don't think they throw in anything that sounds super dated or can really, track back to a very specific period of time other than the general sound. But there's not like weird, like, I don't know, Linkin Park, new metal flourishes or like real dated things like that. I think it still sounds good to this day. And you could play this today, this style today, and you wouldn't have anyone be like, oh my God, what is that?
This record, I think technically speaking, is well produced. It sounds good. As far as like taste things go and like the direction they're taking the tracks, it's a really weird mix of like things I don't like and things I do like. Like I'm notoriously on the channel, if you've watched before, I don't really like trip hop. I don't like glitchy beats. I especially don't like loungy music with electronic elements. I love like a lounge act or like bossa nova or anything like that. Incredible. But you throw a glitchy beat on that, and it's like one of my least favorite things that you can do with music. And so there's a little bit of that here, but there's also like, so you mentioned some influences, but like some of the ones that I pulled off of Wikipedia, Everything But the Girl, I don't really like their music and their production. In Stereo Lab, I don't really like. But then I also get like touches of things like magnetic fields in the vocals, especially. I also hear Guy Garvey from Elbow. It's kind of like if Guy Garvey didn't have like the next gear in his voice and he just stayed in his kind of like talky zone. That's kind of what the vocals sound like. And I think maybe my favorite thing about the whole record is the vocals. I don't know what it is about them, but they kind of do pull me in a bit. I think if this was like some of the female vocals, that there's like some call and response on some songs and she sings like a chorus, and I think in one of them If she was the singer on the whole thing, I would be just probably totally out. But the vocals make it interesting to me. There's like a contrast between what the vocals should be for this type of music and what it actually is here. And I think that is the strength of the record. And I don't know what that has to do with production, but
Got off track a little bit there. It's all right.
best and worst track.
Best track, Tiny Decision, lead off track, very cool sound. Worst song, pretty much everything from We're Both Hiding to Stroke, because I don't remember them. That's a big chunk of the album if you're unfamiliar with it.
I think I'll go Two Lights for best. Oh no, I'm gonna go We're Both Hiding for best with those strings I really like a lot. And worst, I'm gonna go with Be Killed.
Yeah.
Oh, so what's the score for this?
I can't go any more than a three. I dabbled with a 2.5, but I like the sound of it. I just don't really care for many of the songs outside of Two Lights and Tiny Decision.
I'm at a three two. I'm at a high three, almost three and a half. Considered three and a half. I just because of the style of it and me already like not being much of a fan of like this kind of loungy trip hop sound, I don't think I'd come back to it really. So three for me. Although I think there's some interesting stuff going on here. I think it's well done and I like the vocals a lot. All right. Well, if you know this record or if you check it out, let us know what you think. Drop it in the comments, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and check the video description for all kinds of links, Patreon, merch, our website. We've got a record label. We got a record out for sale, Nashville artist Nordista Freeze. Give that a listen and then buy a copy. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.